If you had the opportunity to travel to a tropical place with a huge biodiversity, would you go? Would you dive into streams to see all kinds of cichlids, tetras, and catfish in the wild? Would you camp on a sandy beach alongside a blackwater river? Sleep in a hammock in an Indian village just to get the chance to see wild cardinal tetras? Would you step into a dugout canoe in the middle of the night in hopes of catching wild autumn angels? Are you willing to trade all the comforts of home, or even those of a cheap hotel, for the adventure of a lifetime? Ready to go, aren't you? Well, pack your bags, because we're going to go to Colombia. Ted's Fish Room and the Aquarium Life present Colombia 2016. Sponsored by Swiss Tropicals, the exclusive source for Puree foam filtration and other quality aquarium products. Repashy Superfoods, providing a full line of premium gel fish food including Bottom Scratcher. And Amazonas Magazine, bringing the world of aquariums to your fingertips. Colombia is a fascinating place. The country's total biodiversity ranks second only to Brazil, a country that is 6 times larger in area. Why is Colombia so unique? Because it sits in a special place on the South American continent where the Andes Mountains reach the Caribbean Sea and the Amazon River Basin abuts up against the almost as mighty Orinoco. The Andes Mountains divide into 3 ranges in western Colombia, with each section having a unique climate. Colombia also sits between the warm Pacific on the west and the warm Caribbean Sea to the north. Moist air from the Pacific pushes east against the Andes Mountains, making the west slope of that range very wet. And moist air from the Caribbean is pushed south and west across the grassland of the Llanos up against the east side of the Andes Mountains. This means that both the eastern and western slope of the Andes Mountains are both humid and moist, while the interior range and the valleys between them are relatively dry. This unique climate situation contributes to the huge diversity of life in the Andes mountain regions of Colombia, but we are just getting started. The northeast of Colombia is the Llanos, a huge tropical grassland that stretches between the Andes Mountains in the west and Venezuela to the east. The Rio Meta and its tributaries travel through the middle of the Llanos on their way to the Orinoco River. Many of the aquarium fish that we're familiar with that come from Colombia originate here in the Rio Meta system of the Llanos. Apistogramma, Crinocycla, Corydoras, small tetras, and lots of loricarids. To the south of the grasslands, the landscape changes to mixed trees, shrubs, and grass, eventually into dense tropical forests the further south and east that you go. Most of this area also has rivers that flow to the Orinoco, such as the Whitewater Guaviare and the Blackwater Rio Inerita. But the southernmost part of Colombia is part of the Amazon River Basin, and many rivers flow across the border into the Rio Negro of Brazil. And along the far eastern border between Colombia and Venezuela sits a truly spectacular place, the confluence of 4 important rivers: the Rio Orinoco, the Rio Guaviare, the Rio Inerita, and the mysterious Rio Atabapo, an extreme blackwater river that is in many ways a bridge between the Amazon and the Orinoco, with many unique species of fish that are hard to find. All of these different topographies and climates are home to the incredible diversity of species in Colombia. I have been dreaming of visiting Colombia for many years, and now I have been there, and I'm going to share my experiences with you in this video series. Sponge filters are the choice of serious aquarists in their fish rooms because they are inexpensive and effective. The biggest mistake a fish keeper can make is to assume that there is no technical advantage to one type of filter over another. Puree filter foams are superior to other foams which will eventually break down in an aquarium. I have Purée foam filters from Swiss Tropicals that have been in constant use in my fish room for a decade. Swiss Tropicals is the exclusive distributor of Purée foam in North America and a supplier of other high-quality aquarium products. Visit SwissTropicals.com today and learn more about the aquarium filters that the experts use. Repashy Superfoods combines superior nutrition and ingredient quality in a gel food that fish like to eat. From staple diets to specialty feeds, there is a Repashy superfood formula that will benefit every fish in your aquarium. And the long-lasting gel allows fish to feed naturally on a food source that will stay in the water for many hours. Repashy superfoods are available from dependable retailers that specialize in high-quality aquarium and reptile products. For more information, visit the Repashy Superfood website at www.repashy.com. I spent just over 2 weeks exploring Colombia, nowhere near enough time. The first week was spent in the area of Villavicencio, where I stayed as the guest of my friend and guide Hernando Gil. Villavicencio is a large town up against the east side of the Andes Mountains and on the very western edge of the Llanos. We traveled out onto the Llanos, collected fish in several streams of the grassland region, and visited a fish farm. Villavicencio is not far from Bogota, where all the fish exported from Colombia are sent from. One of my goals for my trip was to visit exporters and see firsthand how fish are handled before they are sent on to the United States. I hoped to answer some questions about how we can be better prepared to receive fish from Colombia, because there are some species, such as autumn angelfish, that we simply do not do well with. After a week in Villavicencio, I went back to Bogota to meet my friends Jeff Cardwell, Vin Cuddy, and Eduardo Gomez and boarded a plane for a week exploring the confluence region of far eastern Colombia. Our base of operation for this part of the expedition was Puerto Inarita, a port city on the banks of the Rio Inarita upstream from the confluence. In Puerto Inarita, we visited wholesalers so we could see how fish are handled before they are sent on to Bogota. And from this port city, we boarded a boat to travel out onto the rivers and collect some fish ourselves. We spent 2 days exploring the Rio Atabapo and its tributaries. We camped for a night on a white sand beach. We visited the confluence of the Orinoco and saw how incredibly huge and powerful this river really is. Our tour included a day on the Rio Guaviare, a whitewater river that drains from the Llanos. We took advantage of the high water and threaded our boats through logs and sunken trees to see the largest oxbow lake in the area, Laguna Macasabe. We collected fish in the Rio Bacon, a tributary of the Rio Inarita, and we stayed overnight in the village of Santa Rosa, where we experienced collecting wild autumn angelfish in the middle of the night, and sport fishing for large peacock bass in the morning. And since we were so close, we boated up the Inarita to the Cerros de Mavacure, where the river squeezes between 3 huge monolithic peaks that are remnants of the eroded Guiana Shield. We collected fish in many places. We found some interesting and unexpected species. We visited villages that depend upon the tropical fish industry for a big part of their livelihood and met a lot of very nice people. Stay tuned, because in the next episode of this video series, I'm going to start taking this trip one day at a time, in some cases, one stream at a time. So come along with me and let's explore Colombia. Don't miss an episode of Colombia 2016. Please subscribe to my channel and help spread the word by sharing this video with your friends. Thank you for watching Ted's Fish Room, and please check out my sponsors for this series, Repashy Superfoods, SwissTropicals.com, and Amazonas Magazine.